"I can heal them," a little girl told a millionaire. Then she spits on a spoon, gives it to them, and a miracle happens. Comment what you thought of this story with a rating from 0 to 10 and tell me what city you're watching from. I really want to know if you like my story and get to know you better, so subscribe to my channel to support my work. I'm counting on your help. The dry heat of Phoenix weighed on the streets even after 7 in the evening, when Damien Archer left Mercy General Hospital with slow steps and shoulders slumped by the weight of a 3-month vigil. At 52, the businessman owner of Archer Construction carried on his face the marks of sleepless nights and hopeless days, visiting the twin sisters Isabel and Victoria, 15 daily, who remained in a vegetative state since the accident that also took their parents. The hospital's uneven sidewalk was nearly deserted when Damien stumbled over something small and soft. Looking down, he saw a girl of about 4 years old, sleeping on a torn piece of cardboard, wearing only a dirty t-shirt and faded underwear. Her brown hair was tangled, her small face covered by a thin layer of the region's typical red dust, but even so, it was possible to see that she had delicate features and a tan skin that shone under the yellowish light of the lamppost. "I'm sorry, little one," Damien murmured, squatting down to check if he hadn't hurt the child. Lily, that was the name she would whisper later, slowly opened her eyes, revealing dark, deep irises that seemed to carry a wisdom incompatible with her age. She didn't cry or scream, as would be expected of a child awakened by a stranger. Instead, she fixed her gaze on Damien's bearded face and said something that sent a chill down his spine. "You're suffering for the young ladies in the hospital. They've been sleeping for a long time." Damien instinctively pulled back, his heart pounding. "How do you know that?" "I know many things," Lily replied, sitting up on the cardboard with careful movements. "My grandma Eleanor taught me that some people can see beyond what's in front of their eyes." "Where is your grandmother now?" The girl's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. "She disappeared a long time ago. Some men came and took her away. She said she'd come back, but she didn't." Damien looked around, searching for someone responsible for the child, but the street was empty. "Are you alone here?" "I'm alone everywhere," Lily answered with a naturalness that broke the businessman's heart. "But it's not bad. I know how to take care of myself." The man who had lost so many loved ones felt an inexplicable connection with that abandoned child. "What's your full name?" "Lily. Just Lily. Grandma never told me the rest. And how long have you been on the street?" Lily held up her dirty little hands, counting on her fingers. "Many suns and many moons. I don't know how to count well yet." Damien took his wallet out of his pocket and offered a few bills to the girl. "Take this and buy some food. There's a bakery open on the corner." Lily looked at the money but didn't extend her hand. "I don't need it. What I need is to help the young ladies in the hospital. They're calling." "What do you mean, calling?" "Sometimes I hear the voices of people who are sleeping. They ask for help." Lily stood up, shaking the dust from her clothes. "Can I go with you? I promise I won't be a bother." Something in the girl's determined manner touched Damien deeply. Maybe it was the loneliness he recognized in her eyes, or perhaps the strange feeling that this meeting hadn't been coincidental. The hospital doesn't allow visits from children unaccompanied by their guardians. "But you can be my guardian for a few minutes," Lily suggested with the simple logic of childhood, "just so I can see if I can help." Damien hesitated. His life was already complicated enough without getting involved with the problems of a street child. But when he looked at Lily again, he saw something that made him change his mind. She was trembling, not from cold, but from an urgency he couldn't comprehend. "All right," he said finally, "but just for a few minutes, and you'll have to be quiet." The smile Lily gave was like the first ray of sunshine after a storm. She held Damien's extended hand with her small, dirty fingers, and together they walked back to the hospital. The security guard at the entrance knew Damien from his frequent visits, so he didn't question when he saw him enter with the girl. In the elevator, Lily remained silent, but Damien noticed she was restless, shifting from one foot to the other as if she was sensing something he couldn't perceive. "Are you sure you want to do this?" he asked as they went up to the 4th floor. "I am. This is why I'm here." The hospital corridor was silent, lit only by fluorescent lamps that created a cold, impersonal atmosphere. Damien stopped in front of room 247, where Isabel and Victoria were admitted. Through the glass of the door, it was possible to see the two teenagers lying in separate beds, connected to various machines that monitored their vital signs. "They're beautiful," Lily said, pressing her small face against the glass. "But they're very far away." "Far from what?" "From the world of the awake." Lily looked at Damien with a seriousness that didn't match her age. "Can I go in?" Damien opened the room door with the card the doctors had given him. The environment was permeated with the characteristic hospital smell, disinfectant mixed with the sweet aroma of medications. The machines emitted rhythmic sounds that marked the passage of seconds, minutes, hours, that turned into days and months without change. Lily first approached the bed of Isabel, the younger twin by a few minutes. The teenager had blonde hair spread across the white pillow, her face pale but still young and serene. Lily extended her small hand and gently touched Isabel's forehead. "She's dreaming of a green place," the girl whispered. "It has yellow flowers and a big house. She wants to go back there." Damien felt a shiver. Lily's description exactly matched the ranch where he, Claire, and the sisters used to spend their vacations before the accident that changed everything. "How can you know that?" "I just know." Lily closed her eyes, keeping her hand on Isabel's forehead. "She's confused. She can't find her way back." Suddenly, Lily took something from the pocket of her dirty t-shirt. It was a small, broken plastic spoon she must have found in the trash. To Damien's horror, the girl spat into the spoon and then, before he could stop her, put the saliva into Isabel's half-open mouth. "What are you doing?" Damien exclaimed, trying to pull Lily away from the bed. But at that moment, something extraordinary happened. Isabel's eyes flickered slightly, her eyelids fluttered like butterflies trying to fly, and slowly, for the first time in 3 months, she opened her eyes. "Uncle Damien," Isabel murmured in a hoarse, weak voice, but unmistakably her own. Damien was paralyzed between joy and shock, while Lily smiled as if what had just happened was the most natural thing in the world. The alarm of the heart monitors echoed through the hallway like an emergency cry, bringing nurses and doctors running to room 247. Damien stepped away from the bed, pulling Lily with him, as he watched the medical team move around Isabel with the precision of a rehearsed choreography. "What happened here?" asked Dr. Richard Miles, the neurologist in charge of the case, checking the machines that registered intense brain activity where before there had only been flat lines. She just opened her eyes," Damien stammered, still trying to process what he had witnessed. Dr. Miles examined Isabel carefully, testing her reflexes and responses. The teenager was conscious, but confused, looking around as if trying to recognize a familiar place after a long absence. "Uncle Damien, where are Mom and Dad?" Isabel asked with a weak voice, but every word was crystal clear. Damien's heart broke once more. In the 3 months since the accident, he had mentally rehearsed how he would tell the girls about the loss of their parents, but he never imagined that this moment would come so suddenly and unexpectedly. They're not here right now, my dear," he said, choosing his words carefully. "You've been sleeping for a long time. There was an accident." While the doctors performed preliminary exams on Isabel, Lily remained quiet beside Damien, observing Victoria in the next bed. The other twin remained motionless, breathing only with the help of the machines. "The other young lady is still far away," Lily murmured to herself, but loud enough for Damien to hear. She doesn't want to come back yet. Dr. Miles approached Damien after the initial exams. "Mr. Archer, I need to talk to you in the hallway." In the corridor, away from the ears of Lily and Isabel, the doctor expressed his bewilderment. "In 20 years of neurology, I've never seen anything like it. Isabel's scans from yesterday showed minimal brain activity. Today, she's neurologically normal. It's scientifically impossible." "Impossible, but it happened," Damien replied, fighting the temptation to tell him about Lily's strange intervention. "We'll need to repeat all the exams, do new CT scans, and I want to understand exactly what happened in that room. Who is the child that was with you?" Damien hesitated. "She's an acquaintance. She was visiting me when Isabel woke up. Well, whatever happened, it's a medical miracle. I'm transferring Isabel to the neurological observation room. We need to monitor her closely for the next 48 hours. When they returned to the room, they found Lily sitting on the floor next to Victoria's bed, humming a soft tune that Damien didn't recognize. It was a sad but strangely comforting song. "Lily, let's go," Damien said softly. "Isabel needs to rest. Can I come back tomorrow?" the girl asked, getting up with her eyes fixed on Victoria. "The other young lady will need help too." Isabel, who had followed the conversation despite her weakness, looked at Lily with curiosity. "Who are you? Do I know you from somewhere?" "I'm Lily. I came to help you get back home." "Back home?" Isabel's eyes filled with tears. "But our house, the accident." "Not that house," Lily said with a disturbing wisdom. "The real house where the people we love are kept in our hearts." Damien felt a lump in his throat. This street child spoke of concepts that many adults took years to understand. During the walk back to the hospital exit, Lily walked silently beside Damien, her bare feet making soft noises against the cold floor. Only when they reached the reception did she speak again. "Are you going to leave me here?" The question caught Damien off guard. He had automatically assumed Lily would go back to the sidewalk where he found her, but the idea of leaving a 4-year-old child on the street at night deeply disturbed him. "Where do you usually sleep?" he asked. "In different places. Sometimes in the square, sometimes behind the church, sometimes here at the hospital when it's very cold." "And what do you eat?" "What people give me, what I find." Lily said this without self-pity, as if it were simply a fact of life. Damien looked at this small girl who had just witnessed something inexplicable. His conscience wouldn't allow him to abandon her on the street, but he also didn't know what to do with her. "Would you like to come to my house tonight, just until we find someone responsible for you?" Lily's eyes shone for the first time since they met. "Are you sure?" "I'm no trouble. I know how to be quiet. I'm sure." Damien's apartment in downtown Phoenix was spacious but austere, decorated with practical furniture and few personal items. Since Claire's death 5 years earlier, he had grown accustomed to solitude and simplicity. "It's big," Lily commented, admiring the living room with wide eyes. "A lot of people must fit in here." "I live alone," Damien said, realizing how sad that sounded when spoken aloud. "Why? Don't you have a family?" "I did. I lost my wife a few years ago, and now the young ladies from the hospital are your family. They're my nieces. I'm the only family they have now." Lily nodded with understanding. "So, we're similar. I also only have people who are far away." Damien prepared a bath for Lily while she explored the apartment with respectful curiosity. When she came out of the bathroom, clean and wearing one of his t-shirts as a dress, she looked like a completely different child. Her brown hair, now washed, fell in soft curls around her face, and her tan skin glowed healthily. "Are you hungry?" he asked, opening the nearly empty refrigerator. "A little, but you don't have to worry. I'm used to it." Damien made scrambled eggs and toast, watching how Lily ate slowly, savoring each bite as if it were a banquet. During the meal, she shared fragments of her life. How she woke up when the sun rose, how she knew all the neighborhood dogs by name, how her grandma Eleanor had taught her to recognize medicinal plants by their smells. "Grandma used to say that our family had a special gift," Lily said, playing with the crumbs on her plate. "That some people are born knowing things that others don't." "What kind of things?" "Like when someone is sick on the inside, not just in their body. Like when someone needs help even without asking. Grandma said I would learn when I grew up, but then she disappeared. Do you remember what happened on the day your grandmother disappeared?" Lily's face darkened. "Some men in suits came to our house. They said things I didn't understand about papers and money. Grandma got angry and started yelling. They took her away and said I would go to a place where they would take care of me, but I ran and hid. And you've been on the street ever since. Ever since, I've been looking for Grandma and looking for a way to use the gift to help people like she taught me." That night, Damien made a makeshift bed for Lily on the living room sofa, but when he went to check on her a few hours later, he found her awake, looking out the window at the city lights. "Can't sleep. I'm listening," she said simply. "Listening to what?" "To the young lady who is still asleep. She's afraid of something." Lily turned to look at Damien. "She doesn't want to wake up because she thinks that when she does, something bad will happen again." Damien felt a chill. Victoria had always been the more sensitive of the twins, the one who felt others' emotions as if they were her own. "Do you think you can help her like you helped Isabel?" "I can try. But it will be harder. She's hiding deep inside her mind." At that moment, Damien's phone rang. It was Dr. Miles. "Mr. Archer, I need you to come to the hospital immediately. Isabel is asking to speak with the girl who was with you today. She says she has something important to tell her." The drive back to the hospital was tense and silent. Lily clung to the seat of Damien's car, her small eyes fixed on the window as the city lights passed like colorful blurs. The urgency in Dr. Miles's voice had made Damien uneasy, and he couldn't stop wondering what Isabel had to say that was so important. "She's scared," Lily murmured suddenly, breaking the silence. "Who's scared?" "The young lady who woke up, Isabel. She remembered something she didn't want to remember." Damien slowed down, watching Lily in the rearview mirror. "How can you know that?" "The voices get louder when people are scared. It's like they're screaming inside their heads." At the hospital, Dr. Miles was waiting for them at the reception with a worried expression. There were deep, dark circles under his eyes, as if he hadn't slept since Isabel's inexplicable awakening. "Mr. Archer, Isabel has been in a state of agitation since she fully woke up 2 hours ago. She insists she needs to talk to the girl about something related to the accident." "What kind of agitation?" Damien asked, instinctively placing a protective hand on Lily's shoulder. "She's repeating things about the man in the blue car and saying she needs to tell the truth before it's too late. We tried to calm her with medication, but she refuses everything and only asks to speak with the child." Lily tugged on Damien's shirt. "Can I talk to her? I promise I won't let her get more scared." Dr. Miles hesitated. "It's not protocol to allow unrelated children to have contact with patients in an altered psychological state." "Please," Lily insisted, looking directly into the doctor's eyes with a disturbing intensity. "She needs to get this out, otherwise the pain will be locked away forever." Something in the way the girl spoke made Dr. Miles reconsider. 5 minutes, and I'll be in the room the whole time." The neurological observation room was smaller than the previous one, with only one bed and more sophisticated equipment. Isabel was sitting up, supported by pillows, her blonde hair disheveled and her eyes red from crying so much. "Lily!" she exclaimed when she saw the girl enter. "You came! I knew you would!" Lily approached the bed. with careful steps. How did you know my name? I didn't say it yesterday. I dreamed about you. The whole time I was asleep, you appeared in my dreams. You and a lady with white hair who said she was your grandmother. Damien and Dr. Miles exchanged surprised glances. Isabel was talking about Lily's grandmother, a person she had never met or heard of. Grandma Eleanor was in your dreams. She was. She told me stories about you, about how special you were. And she told me that when I woke up, I would have to tell the truth. About what happened on the day of the accident. Lily sat on the edge of the bed. What truth? Isabel looked nervously at Damien and Dr. Miles. You're going to be mad at me. We would never be mad at you, my dear, Damien said, approaching the bed. What happened? The accident. It wasn't exactly an accident. The words came out in sobs. Victoria and I were fighting in the back seat. She was mad because Dad wouldn't let her go to Mariana's party. I said horrible things to her. What kind of things? I said she was adopted, that Mum and Dad didn't really love her. I know it wasn't true, but I was angry because she always got everything she wanted. Isabel wiped her nose with the sleeve of her hospital gown. She started crying really loudly, and Dad turned around to scold us. Dr. Miles leaned forward, paying full attention to the narrative. It was at that moment that it happened. Dad took his eyes off the road for a few seconds to look back, and he didn't see the blue car coming in the wrong lane. Blue car? Damien asked, frowning. It was a dark blue car driven by a man with a beard. He was driving very fast, and Dad couldn't swerve in time. Isabel broke down crying. If I hadn't fought with Victoria, if I hadn't said those horrible things, Dad wouldn't have been distracted. Lily took Isabel's hand in hers. It wasn't your fault. The accident was going to happen anyway. How can you be sure? Because your dream grandma showed me. The man in the blue car didn't stop to help. And that's not the fault of a bickering child. That's the fault of grown-ups who make bad choices. Damien felt something cold spread through his chest. If there really was a blue car involved in the accident, and if the driver had fled the scene, it completely changed the investigation. Isabel, can you remember any other details about this man or the car? The car had a different license plate. It wasn't from Arizona. And the man, he looked right at me through the broken glass after the crash. Our eyes met for a second before he sped off and drove away. Dr. Miles made quick notes. I'll need to report this to the police. If there really was a third vehicle involved. It won't do any good, Lily interrupted softly. Why do you say that? Because the man in the blue car isn't around here anymore. He went far away right after the accident. Grandma Eleanor showed me that too. Damien was starting to get disturbed by Lily's seemingly supernatural knowledge of events she couldn't have witnessed. Lily, does your grandmother really appear in your dreams? Not in my dreams, in the voices I hear. Lily looked at Victoria, who remained unconscious in the next bed, and she's telling me something else now. What else? That the other young Lady Victoria also knows about the blue car, but she's so scared of remembering that she'd rather stay asleep forever. Isabel sobbed louder. It's my fault she doesn't want to wake up. She must hate me for what I said. She doesn't hate you, Lily said with absolute certainty. She's afraid to wake up and find out you're still mad at her. At that moment, Dr. Miles received a call on his cell phone. He answered quickly, speaking in a low voice, but Damien managed to catch a few words. Investigation, third vehicle, and reopening the case. When he hung up, the doctor had a grave expression. Mr. Archer, the police want to talk to us. Apparently, there's evidence of blue paint on your family's car that was never properly investigated. What do you mean? The initial investigation was too superficial. They classified it as a simple accident caused by high speed, but they never properly analyzed the impact traces. Lily got up from the bed and walked over to where Victoria was lying. She placed her small hand on the unconscious teenager's forehead and closed her eyes. "She's hearing everything we're saying," the girl said, "and she's getting more scared." Why? Because she thinks that if she tells the truth about the blue car, something bad will happen to you too. Damien approached the bed where his older niece remained motionless. Victoria had always been the most protective of the family, the one who worried about everyone around her. "Victoria, if you can hear me, I want you to know that nothing that could happen is worse than losing you both. The truth won't hurt our family. It will help us find justice for your parents." Victoria's monitors began to register small changes in her heart rate. "She's fighting to come back," Lily murmured. "But she's still afraid." Afraid of what? Of the man in the blue car. She saw his face better than Isabel did, and she recognized who it was. The revelation fell upon the room like a bomb. If Victoria knew the identity of the driver who had fled, it meant the accident hadn't been just a random tragedy. "Who was it?" Damien asked, his voice almost a whisper. Lily opened her eyes, looking directly at him with an expression that mixed sadness and determination. "Someone you knew, someone you trusted." The silence that followed Lily's revelation was broken only by the rhythmic sound of the medical equipment. Damien felt as if the floor had disappeared from under his feet. The possibility that someone known to the family had caused the accident and fled the scene was too devastating to fully process. "Lily, are you sure about what you're saying?" he asked, his voice trembling. "I am. The young lady who's still sleeping knows who it is. That's why she doesn't want to wake up." Lily kept her hand on Victoria's forehead, as if in direct communication with the teenager's unconscious mind. Dr. Miles approached, checking the monitors that showed increasing brain activity in Victoria. Something is happening. Her neurological activity is increasing significantly. Isabel, still weak but determined, tried to get out of bed. "I need to talk to her. I need to tell her I'm not mad anymore, that I forgive everything that happened." "Stay in bed," the doctor instructed. "You're still recovering." But Lily gestured for Isabel to speak. "She's listening. You can talk from there." Isabel took a deep breath, gathering her courage. "Victoria, I know you can hear me. I'm so sorry for everything I said in the car. You're my twin sister, my other half. I never wanted to hurt you with those horrible words." Victoria's monitors registered peaks of activity. "Keep talking," Lily encouraged. "She's listening. Remember when we were little and we shared everything? Toys, secrets, even nightmares. You always protected me when I was afraid of the dark." Isabel's tears were falling freely now. "Now it's my turn to protect you. You don't have to carry this weight alone." At that moment, Lily closed her eyes more intensely, as if concentrating deeply. She wants to tell, but she's afraid something will happen to Uncle Damien. "To me?" Damien asked, confused. "She thinks that if she says who the person in the blue car was, that person might try to hurt you too. That's impossible. Whoever knows me would know that I would never—" "She's remembering more things now," Lily interrupted. "The man in the blue car. He wasn't alone." Dr. Miles stopped writing his notes. He wasn't alone. There was a woman in the passenger seat. A woman Victoria recognized too. Damien's heart raced. A terrible feeling was growing in his chest, a suspicion he didn't want to admit even to himself. "What woman?" he asked, although part of him already knew the answer. Lily opened her eyes, looking directly at Damien with an expression of deep sadness. "Someone who used to work at your company. Someone who knew the family's schedules." "That's impossible," Damien murmured, but his mind was already connecting dots he had refused to see before. "The blue car was following you," Lily continued, as if narrating something she was seeing happen. "It wasn't an accident. It was on purpose." The revelation hit the room like an explosion. Dr. Miles dropped his pen. Isabel stifled a scream, and Damien had to lean against the wall to keep from falling. Why would someone do this to our family? Isabel asked, her voice broken by shock. Lily turned to her. Because of money. It's always about money when grown-ups do bad things. Damien quickly thought about the family's business, the construction contracts, the people who had access to information about the company and the family's personal routine. A specific figure began to form in his mind, someone who had left the company a few months before the accident. Marcus, he whispered, more to himself than to the others. Who's Marcus? Dr. Miles asked. Marcus Thorne. He was my junior partner at the construction company. He left the company 6 months before the accident, citing disagreements about the direction of the business. But why would he do that? Damien closed his eyes, remembering details he had considered unimportant at the time. There were some financial irregularities discovered shortly before he left. Nothing we could prove legally, but suspicions that he was diverting money from municipal contracts. And you confronted him? My brother-in-law, the girl's father, was investigating the situation. He was an accountant and had found discrepancies in the books. Damien opened his eyes, the realization hitting him like a punch. If Marcus knew he was being investigated, he decided to silence those who could expose him, Dr. Miles completed, horrified. Lily nodded sadly. The sleeping young lady saw everything. She saw when the blue car hit the family's car on purpose. She saw when the man and the woman got out to check if everyone was... She paused, looking for words appropriate for a child, if everyone was sleeping forever. And when they saw that Victoria and Isabel were still alive, they got scared. They had to decide whether to try to hurt the girls too, or to run away. My God, Damien murmured, feeling nauseous. The woman said to run. She said 2 injured girls wouldn't remember anything anyway. Lily looked at Victoria with tenderness, but she remembered, and that's why she's so scared. Isabel was sobbing silently. Poor Mom and Dad. They didn't even know they were being hunted. At that moment, Victoria's monitors began to emit more intense sounds. Her breathing became deeper, and her eyelids began to tremble slightly. She's trying to wake up, Dr. Miles said, checking the devices. No, Lily said firmly. She's trying to show me more things. What things? Where the papers that the girl's father was collecting about the stolen money are. Damien leaned forward. What papers? He hid everything before he died. Documents that prove the man in the blue car was stealing from the company. Victoria knows where they're hidden. Where? At the house where the family lived. There's a secret place that only the girls knew. The house was sold after the accident, Damien said. The new owners renovated everything. The papers aren't inside the house. They're in the backyard, buried under the rosebush that the girl's mother planted. Isabel's eyes widened. Mom's rosebush. Dad always said it was the safest place in the world because Mom took care of it like it was a treasure. Victoria saw when her father buried a box there, Lily continued. The night before the trip, where the accident happened. He told the girls that if anything ever happened to him, they should look for the gift he left for their mother under the roses. Dr. Miles looked at Damien. If this is true, you have evidence that could incriminate those responsible for the accident. But the house isn't ours anymore, Damien said, frustrated. We can ask the new owners for permission, Isabel suggested, trying to sit up in bed despite her weakness. Lily opened her eyes and smiled for the first time since she arrived at the hospital. You don't have to ask for permission. The new owners will help you. How can you be sure? Because Grandma Eleanor showed me. They are good people who will understand that you need justice for your family. At that moment, Victoria emitted a low, almost imperceptible sound. Everyone turned to her bed, watching intently. What did she say? Damien asked. Lily leaned over Victoria, listening carefully. She said the address where the papers are hidden. And one more important thing. What? There's a deadline. If you don't find the evidence by tomorrow night, Marcus will destroy everything and disappear from the city forever." The clock on the hospital wall read 11:15 at night. Time was running out, and the decisions they would make in the next few hours would determine not only the future of Damien's family, but also the life of a grandmother that a 4-year-old child was desperate to save. The decision was made almost instinctively. Damien knew they couldn't wait until morning to act. Dr. Miles discreetly arranged for Isabel and Victoria to be transferred to a private room on the surgery floor, away from prying eyes and with reinforced security. "I'm going with you," Isabel said, when Damien explained he was going to the old house to look for the buried evidence. "You can barely stand," he protested. "I know exactly where Dad buried the box. The spot is under the 3rd branch of the rosebush, counting from right to left. If you go alone, you might dig in the wrong place and waste time." Lily, who had remained silent during the discussion, finally spoke up. "She's right, and I need to go too." "Absolutely not. It's too dangerous for a child. I need to go because Grandma Eleanor is calling me. She said if I don't go get her tonight, they'll make her sleep forever tomorrow morning." Dr. Miles leaned forward. "Lily, where exactly is your grandmother being held?" "In a big white house with beautiful gardens, about 40 minutes from here. It has a high gate and guards at the entrance." "That sounds like St. Teresa's clinic," the doctor murmured. "It's an expensive private institution, specializing in seniors with dementia." "Dementia?" Damien asked. "That's what they say about her," Lily replied sadly. "But Grandma isn't confused. They give her medicine to keep her quiet and not remember things." Isabel managed to sit up completely in bed. "Uncle Damien, if we divide the tasks, we can solve everything in one night. You go with me to get the papers, and someone goes with Lily to get her grandmother. Who would that someone be?" Dr. Miles hesitantly raised his hand. "I can go. I know the director of St. Teresa's clinic. If Lily's grandmother is being medicated improperly, I have the medical authority to question the treatment. What if it's a trap? What if Carmen or Marcus are waiting for us to split up?" Lily closed her eyes, concentrating. "Carmen is here at the hospital now. She won't leave until morning. And the man in the blue car is at home, sleeping. He doesn't know you've already found out about the papers. How can you be sure? The voices tell me where people are when they're thinking bad things." 2 hours later, 2 cars discreetly left the hospital parking lot. In the first, Damien drove with Isabel beside him, covered by a blanket to hide her hospital gown. In the second, Dr. Miles followed with Lily, who had insisted on bringing a small backpack she had found at the hospital, claiming she would need special things to help her grandmother. The family's old house was in the Green Valley neighborhood, one of the most traditional in Phoenix. It was a 2-story house, painted a light yellow, with a garden in front that the new owners had kept well maintained. Damien parked 2 houses down, watching the dark windows. "It looks like no one's home," Isabel said. "It's almost 2 in the morning. It's natural for them to be asleep." They walked silently to the side gate that led to the backyard. Damien had kept a copy of the key years ago, when he was still responsible for the property. Luckily for him, the new owners hadn't changed the gate lock. The backyard was exactly as he remembered, only better cared for. The rose bush that Claire had planted had grown and was in bloom, even in the Arizona autumn. Its red roses shone under the faint moonlight. "It's there," Isabel whispered, pointing to a specific spot at the base of the rose bush. "I remember Dad dug right next to the main stem." Damien had brought a small gardening trowel he had borrowed from the hospital. He began to dig carefully, trying not to damage the plant's roots. The earth was soft, a sign that it had been disturbed not too long ago. "Deeper," Isabel instructed. Dad said it needed to be deep enough that no one would find it by accident. After 20 minutes of digging, the trowel hit something solid. It was a metal box the size of a shoebox, wrapped in thick plastic. Damien carefully pulled it out of the hole. "This is it!" Isabel exclaimed in a low voice. I recognize the box. It was where Dad kept his important documents. They quickly returned to the car, where Damien opened the box using a key that had been on his brother-in-law's keychain. Inside, there were dozens of documents organized in plastic folders, contracts, financial spreadsheets, bank statements, and most importantly, a sealed flash drive with a handwritten label, Evidence MT. Marcus Thorne, Damien said, holding the flash drive. Your father managed to gather everything. Isabel picked up one of the spreadsheets. Look at these amounts. Marcus was diverting money for over 2 years, long before he left the company. And here, Damien said, examining a contract, is the proof that he paid bribes to get the municipal contracts using the money he stole from us. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Dr. Miles and Lily arrived at St. Teresa's clinic. The place was indeed imposing, with well-kept gardens and an architecture that inspired confidence. But something in the atmosphere made Lily uneasy. She's on the 3rd floor, the girl said, looking at the illuminated windows of the building, in the room at the end of the hall. Dr. Miles identified himself at the reception as a neurologist, explaining that he needed to evaluate a patient about whom he had received concerning information. The on-duty resident, intimidated by his medical authority, provided access without many questions. On the 3rd floor, they found Eleanor in a simple but comfortable room. The woman of about 70 was awake, sitting in an armchair looking out the window. When she saw Lily, her eyes filled with tears. My little granddaughter, she whispered, holding out her arms. Lily ran into her grandmother's embrace. Grandma, I knew you were okay. I knew they were lying. Dr. Miles checked the medical chart hanging on the door. Early-stage Alzheimer's, medication for agitation control. But the neurological exams don't justify this level of medication. Doctor, said Eleanor, her voice surprisingly clear and lucid. I need to get out of here. There are things I need to tell about dangerous people. What people? The man who brought me here, Marcus something, and a woman who works with him. They brought me here by force because I saw things I shouldn't have seen. What things? Eleanor looked at Lily, who nodded encouragingly. I saw them burning documents in the vacant lot behind my old house. Documents that looked important. When I tried to get closer to see better, they saw me and got very nervous. When was this? A few days before they brought me here. I also saw the woman several times watching the house of the family that had that terrible accident. She was noting down the times when people left and arrived. Dr. Miles and Lily exchanged significant glances. Eleanor, would you have the courage to repeat this in an official statement? I would, but first I need to know if my granddaughter is safe. Grandma, Lily said, Uncle Damien is taking care of me. He's a good person who lost loved ones too. At that moment, Dr. Miles's phone rang. It was Damien. Doctor, we found the evidence, but we have a problem. I just received a threatening call. Marcus knows we're investigating, and they have Victoria. What do you mean they have Victoria? Carmen managed to get into the room and took her. She left a note saying that if we don't hand over the documents by dawn, they'll do to her what they did to her parents. Dr. Miles felt his blood run cold. Where do they want you to deliver the documents? At the old construction company warehouse in the industrial district, at 5 in the morning, alone. Eleanor, who had overheard the conversation, grabbed the doctor's arm. Doctor, it's a trap. They won't return the girl. They'll try to get rid of all the witnesses at once. Lily closed her eyes, concentrating intensely. The young lady they took, she's in a dark, cold place. It's not the warehouse. They lied about where she is. Where is she? Dr. Miles asked. In an old house on the outskirts of town. A house they used to hide things. Lily opened her eyes, looking directly at the doctor. And we don't have much time. They'll hurt her if they find out you're not coming alone. The clock on the room wall read 3:40 in the morning. There was just over an hour until dawn, and now they had to save Victoria before it was too late. The decision on how to proceed was made quickly, but not without disagreement. Damien wanted to go alone to the meeting at the warehouse to buy time, while Dr. Miles, Eleanor, and Lily would go look for Victoria at the real location. But Isabel, though weakened, refused to be left out. "She's my twin sister," she said, trembling with weakness but determined. "If something happens to her, I'll feel it. I have to go with you." Dr. Miles was torn between his medical responsibility and the urgency of the situation. "Isabel, you've barely recovered from a coma. Your body is still fragile. My body may be fragile, but my heart is strong. And Victoria will need me when we find her." Lily approached Isabel and held her hand. "Grandma Eleanor can make a special tea that will give you strength to hold on until we solve everything." "What tea?" Eleanor, who had remained quiet, organizing her thoughts, stood up from the clinic room's armchair. "It's an old family recipe, made with herbs that strengthen the body when the mind is determined. But first, I need to get a few things they confiscated when they brought me here." "What things?" Dr. Miles asked. "A small leather pouch I always carry with me. It has medicinal herbs I've been cultivating for decades. The nurses took it, thinking it was dangerous alternative medicine. Dr. Miles used his medical authority to retrieve Eleanor's personal belongings. The leather pouch indeed contained a variety of dried herbs, carefully organized in small compartments. The aroma it exuded was both comforting and energizing. "Grandma," Lily said, "can you make the tea here? I can make a simpler version. It will help Isabel not to faint, but the effect won't last long." While Eleanor prepared the mixture in a cup of hot water Dr. Miles got from the nursing station, Lily focused on pinpointing exactly where Victoria was being held. "She's in an old wooden house with a tin roof. It's on a dirt road after the small bridge that crosses the dry creek." "That could be the old caretaker's house on the Ortiz farm," said Dr. Miles, who knew the area well. "It's about 15 minutes from the city." "That's the place," Eleanor confirmed. "Marcus mentioned that place when he was talking to the woman about where to hide things." Isabel drank the tea prepared by Eleanor, making a face at the bitter taste, but almost immediately felt a strange energy coursing through her body. It wasn't a normal sensation, but something that seemed to come from within, as if her own determination had gained physical strength. "How do you feel?" Dr. Miles asked, checking her pulse. "Different, more present, like I can handle anything for a few hours." At 4:15 in the morning, the two groups split up. Damien went alone to the construction warehouse, carrying a folder with fake documents to buy time. The second group, Dr. Miles driving, Eleanor in the passenger seat, and Isabel and Lily in the back, headed down the road leading to the rural area. The caretaker's house was exactly as Lily had described, a simple wooden structure with a tin roof, isolated in the middle of a vacant lot. There was a blue car parked in front, the same car from the accident. "They're in there," Lily whispered. "But Victoria isn't inside the house." "Where is she?" "In a place under the house. There's a small cellar where they keep tools." Dr. Miles parked at a safe distance, hidden behind a thicket of bamboo. "How are we going to get to her without being seen? Carmen is inside, but she's asleep in a chair." "The man from the blue car left a little while ago," Lily said, closing her eyes to concentrate better. "Where did he go?" "To the warehouse. He wants to catch Uncle Damien when he gets there." Isabel stirred in her seat. "We need to warn my uncle. We have no way to contact him without risking them intercepting the call," Dr. Miles said. "We'll have to trust that he realizes it's a trap." Eleanor took some specific herbs from her pouch. "I can make Carmen sleep more deeply. If I can get close enough for her to breathe this." "It's too dangerous," the doctor protested. "Doctor, I spent 2 months being forced to take sleeping pills. Know what it's like to wake up confused and vulnerable. She'll be like that too. Lily opened her eyes. Grandma's right. Carmen is sleeping heavily because she took the same pills they gave Grandma. She stole some pills so she wouldn't get tired, but she took too many. The plan was quickly organized. Eleanor would approach the house from the front, using the herbs to ensure Carmen remained deeply asleep. Dr. Miles and the girls would circle the building to find the cellar entrance. The underside of the house was accessible through a small side door that looked more like a trapdoor. It was locked, but Isabel remembered her father always said that old locks could be opened with hairpins. Dr. Miles used a tool from his medical kit to gently force the lock. The cellar was dark and stuffy, lit only by a dim bulb hanging from the low ceiling. Victoria was sitting in a corner, her hands tied but conscious. When she saw Isabel, her eyes filled with tears. "Isa," she whispered, "you woke up." "I woke up, and I came to get you," Isabel replied, running to hug her twin sister. Dr. Miles cut the rope's binding. Victoria, while Lily stood guard at the cellar entrance. "Can you walk?" "I can, but I'm dizzy. They gave me something to drink that made me confused." "It was the same medicine they gave my grandma," Lily said. "It will wear off in a few hours." As they were leaving the cellar, they heard the sound of an engine approaching. It was Marcus returning from the warehouse. "He found out Uncle Damien wasn't alone," Lily said, concentrating on the voices only she could hear. "He saw there were other people hiding at the warehouse and fled." "What other people? Cops?" "Uncle Damien didn't go alone. He brought help." Dr. Miles sighed in relief, but the situation was still dangerous. Marcus was coming back and would find Carmen asleep and Victoria gone. "We need to get out of here now," he said, helping Victoria to walk. But when they got to the car, they discovered that Eleanor hadn't returned. The house door remained ajar, and there was no sign of the old woman. "Where's Grandma?" Lily asked, clearly worried. "Something went wrong," said Isabel, who, despite the tea, was still visibly exhausted. Lily closed her eyes again. Carmen woke up when Grandma was nearby. "They're talking. Grandma is telling Carmen about the things she saw, about the burned documents, about the people being watched. Carmen is crying." Dr. Miles was confused. Why would she be crying? Because she didn't know they were going to hurt the children. She thought they were just going to scare the family so they would stop investigating. At that moment, Eleanor came out of the house, accompanied by a woman with dark hair and a downcast expression. It was Carmen, but no longer the determined accomplice of Marcus. She was a panicked woman, realizing the gravity of the crimes she had become involved in. "She wants to help," Eleanor said when she reached the car. "Marcus deceived her about what really happened in the accident." "How did he deceive you?" Carmen approached hesitantly. "He told me the accident was truly accidental, and we just needed to get rid of evidence that would compromise legitimate business. He never told me he caused the accident on purpose." "And you believed him?" "I wanted to believe him. Marcus promised me a lot of money to help him, and I needed the money to care for my sick mother." Carmen started to cry. "But when I saw the girls in the hospital, especially when one of them woke up, I started to suspect there was something more serious." Lily approached Carmen. "You can tell everything you know to the right people. There's still time to do the right thing. Marcus will kill me if he finds out I talked." "Marcus is going to be arrested," Dr. Miles said firmly. "We have enough evidence now, especially with your testimony." The sound of the approaching engine grew louder. Marcus was almost there. "Carmen," Eleanor said gently, "do you have children?" "I do. A girl her age," she replied, looking at Lily. "Then you know that every child deserves to grow up without fear, without bad people hurting their family." Carmen looked at Victoria, who was leaning on Isabel, and then at Lily, who was watching her with a mixture of understanding and hope. In that moment, she made a decision that would change everything. "I'll go with you. I'll tell you everything I know." The escape from the caretaker's house was tense and coordinated. Dr. Miles drove carefully along the dirt road, trying not to raise dust that might alert Marcus to their presence. In the back seat, Victoria leaned on Isabel's shoulder, still dizzy from the medication, while Lily watched out the rear window. "He's arrived," the girl announced. "He's getting out of the car and going into the house." Carmen, who was in the front seat next to Eleanor, was trembling visibly. "When he finds out Victoria is gone and I'm not there." "Don't worry," Eleanor said, gently placing a hand on the younger woman's arm. "You made the right choice. Now you need to be strong to finish what you started. But I helped kidnap a child. Even if I didn't know the truth about the accident, I still committed crimes." Dr. Miles looked in the rearview mirror. "Carmen, your cooperation can significantly reduce any penalty, and most importantly, it can ensure that Marcus pays for what he did." By the time they got back to the city, the sun was beginning to rise. Dr. Miles called Damien, who confirmed that he was fine and that he had indeed brought help to the meeting at the warehouse. "The police are looking for Marcus now," Damien reported over the phone. "But he fled when he realized it was a trap. Did you manage to find Victoria?" "We did. She's fine, just a little dizzy, and we have a surprise for you." "What surprise?" "Carmen has decided to cooperate with us. She has important information about the whole operation." They met at the hospital, where Victoria was immediately examined by a medical team. The drugs Marcus had given her were mild sedatives with no permanent risks, but she would need a few hours to fully recover. In the room where the twins were reunited for the first time since the accident, the emotion was intense. Victoria and Isabel hugged for long minutes, crying and whispering mutual forgiveness for past conflicts. "I thought you were going to be mad at me forever," Victoria said, her voice still weak. "I could never be mad at you." "We are one person in two bodies," Isabel replied, using a phrase their mother always said about the twins. Lily watched the reunion with a satisfied smile, holding her grandmother's hand. "Now both young ladies will be fine," she said to Eleanor. "Yes, my little granddaughter. And now we need to make sure other children don't go through what they went through." Carmen was in a separate room with Damien, Dr. Miles, and two investigators who had arrived to take her statement. She recounted in detail everything she knew about Marcus's plans, including information that not even Damien suspected. Marcus wasn't just embezzling money from the construction company, she revealed. He was also tampering with safety documents on construction sites to save on materials. "That's serious," said one of the investigators. "It could have put lives at risk." He said they were technical adjustments that no one would notice. But I overheard his conversations with other businessmen. They had a scheme to divide public contracts, always, using the cheapest possible money. Damien felt a mixture of anger and nausea. How many people could have been harmed by these inadequate constructions? "I don't know exactly, but I know he was planning to leave town after finishing the last big contract. He was going to move to rural Texas, where he had bought a ranch under a false name." Dr. Miles leaned forward. "Carmen, did Marcus ever mention any other accomplices besides you?" "He mentioned a lawyer who falsified documents and an accountant who helped launder the money, but he never said their names when I was present." At that moment, Lily entered the room, accompanied by Eleanor. The girl had insisted on speaking with Carmen before the investigators finished their deposition. "Lily wants to say something," Eleanor explained. The girl approached Carmen with her characteristic serenity. "You're not a bad person. You were just scared and needed help." Carmen started crying again. "But I hurt you all. I helped separate you from your grandmother. I helped keep these girls away from their family. You were also deceived by the bad man, but now you're helping to fix everything." Lily paused, as if listening to something. "And your daughter would be proud to know that her mom decided to do the right thing." "How do you know about my daughter?" "The voices tell me when people are thinking about people they love." One of the investigators looked curiously at Lily. Little girl, do you have any information about where Marcus might be hiding? Lily closed her eyes, concentrating. He's not hiding in the city. He's driving far away, but not to the ranch he bought. Where to then? To a place where he has a friend who also does bad things, a small town where no one will look for him. Can you be more specific? It has mountains and a river, and the name of the town has the word saint or holy in it. One of the investigators pulled up a map of the state. It could be San Angelo or San Saba. Both are in a mountainous region with rivers. It's the second one, Lily said with certainty. San Saba. He's going to the house of a man who owns a mechanic shop. How can you know that? Eleanor spoke up. My granddaughter has a special gift for perceiving things that others cannot. For generations, the women of our family have helped people in difficulty using this ability. Dr. Miles, who had personally witnessed Lily's powers, supported the statement. Investigators, I suggest you verify the information. Lily has proven to be surprisingly accurate in her perceptions. 2 hours later, Lily's information proved correct. The San Saba police found Marcus at a mechanic shop owned by a man with a history of dealing in stolen goods. He was arrested without resistance, apparently exhausted from the escape and psychological pressure. When the news reached the hospital, a sense of relief washed over everyone. Damien hugged his nieces, thankful they were finally safe. Eleanor and Lily hugged, happy to be reunited, and Carmen, for the first time in months, smiled genuinely. Now I can sleep peacefully, she said, knowing I did the right thing for my daughter. Dr. Miles arranged for the twins' hospital discharge for the end of the day. Although they still needed medical follow-up, they were physically stable and emotionally ready to go home. Uncle Damien, Isabel said as they were preparing to leave, what will happen to Lily and Miss Eleanor? They'll stay with us for as long as they want, he replied. Without hesitation, our family has grown, and I won't let anyone be separated again. Lily ran to hug Damien. Really? Can I stay with you and keep visiting the young ladies? You can, and your grandmother is also very welcome. Eleanor wiped away a tear. Mr. Archer, we have no way to repay such kindness. You've already repaid it. Lily saved my nieces, and you taught me that family isn't just about blood, it's also about caring for one another. That afternoon, when they left the hospital, there were 6 of them. Damien, the twins Isabel and Victoria, Lily, Eleanor, and surprisingly Carmen, who had asked to accompany them until her legal situation was resolved. Where are we going now? Victoria asked, looking at the city of Phoenix through the car window. Home, Damien replied, to our home. But Lily, who had been quiet during the drive, suddenly became agitated. It's not over yet, she said, worried. What's not over? There are more bad people who worked with the man from the blue car. They're scared now that he's been arrested. And scared people do dangerous things. Damien looked in the rearview mirror at the girl. What kind of dangerous things? They want to destroy more important papers, and they want to leave the city before anyone tells on them. The sense of relief that had taken over the group began to dissipate. Apparently, Marcus's capture was just the beginning of a much larger investigation that would involve more people and more crimes than they had imagined. Damien's house had never held so many people at once. The 3-bedroom apartment, once quiet and austere, now buzzed with low conversations, shared worries, and a strange sense of an improvised family. Eleanor had naturally taken over the domestic care, preparing calming teas for the twins and organizing a special corner where Lily could rest. Carmen slept on the living room sofa, emotionally exhausted after hours of giving her statement. Even with the promise of police protection, she jumped at any loud noise, clearly terrified of possible retaliation. Grandma, Lily whispered to Eleanor as they drank chamomile tea in the kitchen, the voices are very agitated tonight. What voices, my little one? Of the people who are scared. There are people burning papers in various places around the city, and there's someone very nervous trying to leave Phoenix. Eleanor frowned. Can you see who these people are? Lily closed her eyes, concentrating deeply. There's a man with glasses who works in an office with many books. He's putting things in a suitcase. A lawyer, Eleanor murmured. It must be the lawyer Carmen mentioned. In the living room, Damien was talking in a low voice with Dr. Miles about the next steps of the investigation. The evidence found in the buried box was enough to incriminate Marcus, but the investigators suspected the corruption network was much larger. The problem is that now that Marcus has been arrested, the others involved will try to erase any trace that could link them to the crimes, Dr. Miles explained. But with Carmen's testimony and the evidence we have, it might not be enough if they manage to destroy the documents in their offices, and especially if they manage to flee before the law catches up with them. Isabel and Victoria were in the room they had shared before the accident, talking softly about everything that had happened. For the first time in months, the two were truly together and conscious. Isa, do you think Mom and Dad knew the danger they were in? Victoria asked. I think Dad suspected. That's why he hid the documents under the rose bush. He knew something could happen to him. And if we had told him about the silly fights we had, if he hadn't been distracted that day, we can't keep thinking about that, Isabel said, taking her sister's hand. Lily taught us that sometimes bad things happen so that good things can appear later. At that moment, Lily appeared at the bedroom door, clearly agitated. The young ladies, I need to tell you something important. What is it, Lily? Victoria asked, worried about the girl's serious expression. There's a bad person who's going to try to hurt Uncle Damien tomorrow. What person? The man with the glasses who was burning papers. He found out where you live. The twins immediately got out of bed. We need to warn my uncle. In the living room, when Damien heard Lily's concern, he felt a familiar chill run down his spine. Even after everything he had witnessed in recent days, it was still hard to fully believe the girl's supernatural perceptions. Lily, are you sure of what you're seeing? Yes, I am. The man with the glasses is very nervous because he knows the man from the blue car might tell on him to get out of jail. He wants to scare you to stop investigating. Dr. Miles leaned forward. How exactly does he plan to do that? He's going to pretend he's a good person who wants to help. He'll say he has important information about other criminals, but it's a lie. And when will this happen? Early in the morning. He'll come here and say he needs to talk to Uncle Damien alone in a safe place. Eleanor entered the room carrying a cup of tea for Carmen. Sorry to interrupt, but I overheard the conversation. Lily, can you see what this man looks like? He's tall, taller than Uncle Damien. He has grey hair combed to the side and wears a dark blue suit. He speaks in a very polite way, as if he's important. Carmen, who had woken up to the voices, sat up on the sofa. That description. It could be Mr. Ronald Meyer. Who is he? Damien asked. He's the lawyer Marcus sometimes mentioned. He has a big office downtown and handles the contracts for several construction companies. Was he involved in the schemes? Marcus never said directly, but a few times he mentioned that Mr. Meyer facilitated certain legal approvals for urgency fees. Lily nodded vigorously. That's him. And he's planning to take Uncle Damien to a place where he can hurt him without anyone seeing. Dr. Miles stood up. I need to call the investigators immediately, if there really is an intimidation attempt planned for tomorrow. Wait, Lily said, grabbing the doctor's shirt sleeve. If you call the police now, he'll know that you know his plans. How would he know? Because he has friends on the police force too, people who tell him things in exchange for favors. The revelation that the corruption extended even to local authorities left everyone silent for a moment. The situation was much more complex and dangerous than they had imagined. So what do we do? Damien asked, feeling trapped. Eleanor approached the window, watching the silent street below. We have to be smarter than them. Let them think they're in control of the situation. How so? Damien will go to the meeting with this lawyer, but not alone. We'll all be nearby, hidden, ready to help if necessary. It's too risky, Dr. Miles protested. It's riskier to let these criminals loose to hurt other families, Eleanor replied with determination. Lily approached Damien and held his hand. Uncle Damien, I can listen to his voices during the conversation. I'll know if he's lying or if he's planning to hurt you. Lily, I can't put a child in danger. I won't be in danger if Grandma is with me. And you all will be close by, watching over us. Isabel spoke up. Uncle Damien, this whole time we were asleep, we dreamed that someone small and brave would help us. Lily is that person, trust her, Victoria nodded, and we'll be there too. We won't let our family face this alone. That early morning, while the others tried to rest, Damien stayed awake on the balcony, thinking about how his life had completely changed in a few days. From a lonely and bitter businessman, he had become the center of an unlikely family that included 2 traumatized nieces, a child with inexplicable gifts, a wise grandmother, and even a repentant former accomplice. Eleanor joined him on the balcony, bringing 2 cups of tea. Are you worried about tomorrow? I'm worried about everything, about the girls, about Lily, about you. I feel like you all got involved in my problems. Mr. Archer, it wasn't your problems that brought us here. It was destiny. Lily always knew she had a special purpose, and I always knew that one day she would find a family that understood her. And what if I can't protect you all? You're not alone in this protection. We have each other now. And most importantly, we have Lily, who sees things we can't see. The next morning, at 8 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. Damien looked out the window and saw a tall man in a dark blue suit with grey hair standing at the building's entrance. It was exactly as Lily had described. It's him, the girl whispered, hidden behind the living room curtain. And he's very nervous. More nervous than he was last night? Why more nervous? Because he found out the man from the blue car has already started telling the police things about him. The trap was about to be sprung, and for the first time in days, Damien felt they were one step ahead of their enemies. Mr. Ronald Meyer climbed the 3 flights of stairs to Damien's apartment with the confident posture of someone used to controlling situations. He wore an impeccable blue suit, carried an expensive leather briefcase, and exuded the pricey cologne that successful lawyers use to impress clients. But Lily, hidden in the bedroom with Eleanor, could perceive something no one else saw, the poorly disguised desperation beneath all that elegance. He's very scared, she whispered to her grandmother. His heart is beating so fast it feels like it's going to explode. Eleanor adjusted her position in the chair from where she could hear the conversation in the living room. Keep paying attention, my little one. Tell me everything you notice. In the living room, Damien received the lawyer with the reserved but attentive courtesy of someone who knew they were dealing with a venomous snake. Mr. Meyer, what a surprise. How can I help you? Mr. Archer, I'm here on a very delicate matter. I know you're going through difficult times with this whole situation involving Marcus Thorne. I'm handling the situation as best I can. Mr. Meyer sat down uninvited, opening his briefcase and taking out some documents. The problem is that the situation could become much more complicated for you than you imagine. How so? Marcus is making very serious accusations about alleged irregularities in the management of the construction company. He claims you were aware of the embezzlement and benefited from it. Damien maintained a neutral expression, though internally he felt his anger rising. That's a blatant lie. Of course it is. I've known you for years, and I know you're a man of integrity. Mr. Meyer leaned forward, lowering his voice. But well-told lies can become legal truths if they aren't properly contested. In the bedroom, Lily fidgeted. Grandma, he's lying now. The words coming out of his mouth are different from the ones in his head. What is he really thinking? He's thinking he's going to convince Uncle Damien to go with him to a place where he can hurt him. And he's thinking about a woman who might leave town if he doesn't solve this soon. Eleanor frowned. What woman? A woman who works in an office and knows about all the important papers they've hidden. In the living room, Mr. Meyer continued his act. Mr. Archer, I have contacts in the district attorney's office who can help clarify the situation in your favor, but we need to act quickly. What kind of action? I need you to come with me to my office. I have documents that can prove your innocence, but they are papers I can't bring here for confidentiality reasons. Damien pretended to consider the proposal. And why do you want to help me? We don't know each other well. Because I believe in justice, and because I know that men of integrity like you don't deserve to be harmed by criminals like Marcus. Lily whispered to Eleanor, now he's thinking about a gun he has hidden in his office. He wants to take Uncle Damien there and you threaten him. And then he wants Uncle Damien to sign papers saying he did the bad things the man from the blue car did. In the living room, Damien stood up slowly. Mr. Meyer, your offer is very generous. I'll accept going with you to your office. Excellent. We can go right now. My car is in front of the building. I just need to let my family know I'm leaving. Family? I thought you lived alone. Things have changed recently. My nieces have recovered from the accident and are staying with me temporarily. Mr. Meyer tensed imperceptibly. Ah, yes, the girls. What a joy that they recovered so miraculously. The tone in which he said miraculously made Damien realize the lawyer knew more about the twins' awakening than he let on. Damien went to the room where Eleanor and Lily were. I'm going out for a few hours. Take good care of the girls. Lily ran to hug him, whispering in his ear, Uncle Damien, when you get to his office, don't go into the main room. Ask to go to the bathroom and leave through the back window. Why? Because he has two men waiting inside. Men who worked for the man from the blue car. Eleanor approached. Mr. Archer, take this with you, she said, discreetly placing a small sachet of herbs in his hand. If you feel dizzy or sleepy, smell this. What is it? Protection against drugs that make people sleep. In Mr. Meyer's car, a black sedan with leather seats, Damien maintained a casual conversation while carefully observing the route. The lawyer drove nervously, his hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. Mr. Meyer, can I ask you a personal question? Of course. How did you meet Marcus Thorne? Through business. He needed legal advice for some contracts. And you never suspected the irregularities. Mr. Meyer hesitated for just a second before answering. Marcus was always very discreet about the operational details of the company. I see. Mr. Meyer's office was in an elegant commercial building in downtown Phoenix. It was a place that inspired confidence and respectability, exactly the kind of facade that intelligent criminals used to hide their activities. Let's go up, the lawyer said, leading Damien to the elevator. My office is on the 8th floor. During the ascent, Damien noticed a sweet scent in the elevator's air. He remembered Eleanor's sachet and discreetly smelled it. Immediately his mind became clearer and the sweet scent seemed to lose its effect. Mr. Meyer, before we talk, I need to use the restroom. Of course, it's just down the hall. Damien headed to the restroom, but instead of entering, he checked if there was a back window, as Lily had mentioned. There really was a window that opened onto a side alley of the building. Through the glass, he could see a fire escape. Meanwhile, in the apartment, an important discovery was being made. Carmen, who had woken up earlier, was talking to the twins about details she had remembered during the night. Girls, I remembered something important, she said. Mr. Meyer isn't just a corrupt lawyer. He has a secretary who handles all the illegal documents. What secretary? Isabel asked. Marlene Evans. She's worked for him for over 10 years and knows where all the forged contracts and all the bribe receipts are kept. Where is she now? probably at the office, trying to destroy evidence before fleeing the city. Lily, who had been listening quietly to the conversation, suddenly stood up. She's not destroying papers. She's copying papers. What do you mean? She's making copies of all the important documents to protect herself. She knows Mr. Meyer will try to blame her if he's arrested. Eleanor understood immediately. She's gathering evidence to negotiate with the police. Exactly. And she wants to leave town tonight. Back at the office, Damien had returned from the restroom and found Mr. Meyer visibly impatient. "Mr. Archer, let's go to my office to talk in private." "Of course." But as they approached the door to the main office, Damien could hear low male voices coming from inside. Lily was right about the hidden men. "Mr. Meyer, before we go in, I'd like to clarify something." "What?" "Marcus has already told me about the deal you had, and about how you helped launder the money from the fraudulent contracts." Mr. Meyer's face turned pale. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that I came here not as a victim, but as a witness, and that our entire conversation is being recorded." Damien showed the phone he had left recording in his pocket since he left home. "And I'm talking about the fact that the police are already on their way to this office to arrest you and seize all the documents your secretary is trying to hide." Mr. Meyer tried to run into the office, but Damien held him by the arm. Just then, the door opened and two men came out, clearly surprised to find a different situation than they expected. "Who are you?" one of them asked. "I'm someone who won't let you hurt any more innocent families," Damien replied, holding Mr. Meyer firmly. At that moment, the sound of sirens echoed through the streets, rapidly approaching the building. The arrival of the police turned the 8th floor of the commercial building into a scene of controlled chaos. Mr. Meyer desperately tried to convince the investigators that it was all a misunderstanding. But the recording on Damien's phone and the presence of the two henchmen in his office destroyed any chance of denying his involvement. "Detective," Damien said, handing over his phone, "here is the complete conversation." Mr. Meyer admitted knowledge of Marcus's crimes and tried to blackmail me into taking the blame. The lead investigator, an experienced man named Detective Morrison, listened to a few snippets of the recording while his subordinates handcuffed Mr. Meyer and the two men. "Mr. Archer, how did you know it was a trap?" Damien hesitated, knowing it would be difficult to explain about Lily's perceptions. "I received information that Mr. Meyer was not trustworthy and decided to take precautions." "What information?" "One of the people involved in the case warned me about possible intimidation attempts. Meanwhile, in the apartment, the tension was palpable. Lily was restless, pacing back and forth across the room, clearly disturbed by something only she could perceive. "What's happening, my little one?" Eleanor asked. "The paper woman, Marlene. She's not in the office anymore. She fled when she heard the sirens." "Where did she go?" "To the bus station. She has a suitcase with all the copies of the documents and is trying to catch a bus to Denver." Carmen stood up quickly. "If Marlene leaves the city with that evidence, she could sell it to other criminals or use it to blackmail innocent people." "More than that," said Isabel, "she could disappear forever and we'll never know the full extent of the crimes that were committed." Eleanor picked up the phone. "I'm going to call Damien and tell him about Marlene." At Mr. Meyer's office, Damien answered his cell phone while the police searched the files. "Damien, Lily discovered that the secretary has fled to the bus station with copies of important documents," Eleanor reported quickly. "Understood. I'll pass this information to the detective immediately." Detective Morrison listened to the information attentively. "How did you know about this woman's escape?" "The same source that warned me about Mr. Meyer," Damien replied vaguely. "Well, whatever your source is, she's very well informed. We'll send a team to the bus station right now." But when they arrived at the bus station, they discovered that Marlene had already boarded the 10:45 bus to Denver. "The bus had departed 15 minutes earlier. We can intercept it on the highway," one of the officers suggested. Yes, but she might destroy the documents during the trip if she realizes she's being followed, Detective Morrison pondered. Back at the apartment, Lily was more agitated than ever. She won't destroy the papers, the girl said with certainty. How can you know? Victoria asked. Because she's planning to use those papers to get money. She knows things about important people who did business with Mr. Meyer. What important people? A man who was mayor a long time ago, and a woman who works at the bank where they laundered the money. Eleanor understood the gravity of the situation. If Marlene has evidence of corruption involving former mayors and bank employees, she could blackmail them or sell the information to journalists, Carmen completed. Or worse, said Isabel, she could sell it to other criminals who want to continue the schemes. At that moment, Damien arrived home accompanied by Detective Morrison, who wanted to personally meet the source that had provided such accurate information about the criminals' movements. When the detective saw Lily, a 4-year-old child, his expression was one of total disbelief. "This is your informant?" he asked Damien. "Lily has a special ability to perceive things that others can't," Damien explained carefully. Detective Morrison knelt in front of Lily. "Little girl, how did you know the secretary was going to run away?" "I hear people's voices when they're thinking about doing bad things," Lily replied naturally. "The woman, Marlene, was very scared ever since the man from the blue car was arrested. And can you hear where she is now?" Lily closed her eyes. She's on the bus, sitting in seat number 14. She has a blue suitcase on her lap and is looking out the window. She's thinking about a ranch where her brother lives. "What ranch?" "It's in a small town near Denver. The name of the town starts with New." Detective Morrison pulled up a map of Colorado on his phone. It could be Newcastle or New Raymer. Those are the towns near Denver that start with New. "It's Newcastle," Lily said with certainty, "and she won't stay there long. Just long enough to get money that was hidden, and then she'll go to another state." "What state?" "A state where there's ocean. She's thinking about beaches and never coming back to Arizona." Eleanor spoke up. "Detective, my granddaughter has always been like this. Since she was little, she perceived things others didn't see. It's a gift in our family." Detective Morrison was clearly torn between professional skepticism and the impressive accuracy of Lily's information. "Well, however you get this information, it has proven to be correct so far." He made a few calls, organizing coordinated operations between Phoenix, Denver, and Newcastle to locate Marlene before she could disappear completely. While they waited for news, an unexpected revelation came to light. Carmen, who had been quiet during the conversation with the detective, suddenly remembered something important. "Detective, there's something I didn't tell you in my statement." "What?" Marlene wasn't just Mr. Meyer's secretary, she was his mistress, and the sister of someone important. Sister of whom? Of Councilman John Evans, who approves public works contracts in the city council. The revelation hit like a bombshell. If Marlene was the sister of an influential councilman, it explained how Mr. Meyer could get fraudulent contracts approved so easily. This means the scheme involved at least 3 levels of government. Municipal through the councilman, executive through the contracts, and judicial through Mr. Meyer, Detective Morrison analyzed, and banking through the woman from the bank that Lily mentioned, Damien added. Lily, who had remained concentrated throughout the conversation, suddenly opened her eyes with an alarmed expression. "She got off the bus," she exclaimed. "What do you mean?" "The woman, Marlene. She didn't go all the way to Denver. She got off in a smaller town along the way." "What town?" "A town where there's a big fair and lots of people selling cheese." Detective Morrison consulted the map again. "It could be Flagstaff or Prescott. Both are known for their local markets and are on the route between Phoenix and Denver." "It's Flagstaff," Lily said, "and she didn't go to her brother's ranch. She went to the house of a woman who also worked with important papers." What woman? A woman who knows all the secrets of the bank where they laundered money. The woman I mentioned before. The discovery that Marlene was meeting with the corrupt bank employee created a new urgency. If the two of them teamed up, they could form an even more dangerous network, or simply disappear with crucial evidence. Detective, Eleanor said, I don't know how these police things work, but it seems you have little time before these people disappear forever. You're right, Ma'am, he agreed, making more calls to coordinate operations in Flagstaff. Meanwhile, Lily approached Damien. Uncle Damien, after they arrest all these bad people, will our family be able to be at peace? I hope so, Lily. Why do you ask? Because there's one more person who hasn't appeared in this story yet. A person who was hidden from the beginning and who is more dangerous than all the others. The revelation that there was yet another criminal involved, someone who had remained hidden throughout the investigation, made everyone fall silent. Who is this person? Detective Morrison asked. Lily closed her eyes once more, concentrating deeply. When she opened them, her expression was more serious than any 4-year-old should be. It's someone you know, someone you've trusted throughout this whole investigation. The silence that followed Lily's revelation was broken by the ringing of Detective Morrison's cell phone. He answered quickly, his expression growing more tense as he listened to the information on the other end of the line. Understood. Thank you, he said, hanging up with a grim look. What's the news? Damien asked. Marlene was located in Flagstaff, but when our team arrived at the location, she had already left again, and even stranger, someone tipped her off that the police were coming. Lily nodded sadly. It was the person who is hidden, the person you know. Lily, I need you to be more specific, Detective Morrison said, kneeling in front of the girl again. Who is this person? The girl closed her eyes, concentrating intensely. Her brow furrowed as if she were fighting an invisible resistance. It's hard to see this person because they know how to hide bad thoughts behind good thoughts. What do you mean? Eleanor approached. Some people learn to mask their true intentions, even from Lily's special perceptions. But I can see when they get nervous, Lily continued, and this person got very nervous when they heard the man from the blue car was arrested. Where was this person when they got nervous? Near us. At the hospital, when we were taking care of the young ladies. Everyone in the apartment fell silent, processing the implication. Someone who had been present at the hospital during the twins' recovery was an accomplice to the criminals. Lily, was this person in the girls' room? Asked Dr. Miles, who had remained quiet until then. Not in the room, but close, always nearby, listening to the conversations. Damien felt a chill run down his spine. Someone from the medical team? No, someone who came to visit but not as a doctor. Suddenly, Carmen turned pale. My God, it could be the junior detective who always showed up to gather information. What junior detective? Detective Morrison asked, alarmed. Sergeant Thorne. He always came to the hospital to ask questions about the case. He said he was helping with the investigation. Detective Morrison immediately picked up the phone. Dispatch? I need information on Sergeant Thorne. Is he authorized to collect information on the Archer Thorne case? The answer he received confirmed everyone's worst fears. There was no Sergeant Thorne officially assigned to the case. He was impersonating a police officer, the detective murmured, and we never properly checked his credentials. Because he knew exactly what to say and how to behave, Lily said. He worked with cops before, but on the wrong side. Lily, where is this man now? The girl concentrated again. He's driving fast, away from the city. He has a bag in the back seat with money and papers. Where is he going? To meet the woman, Marlene. They planned to meet if anything went wrong. Where are they meeting? Lily paused as if struggling to grasp more specific information. In a town with a big lake and wooden houses, a place where tourists go to fish. Eleanor spoke up. It could be Lake Havasu City. It's a tourist town with a lake and many wooden lodges. That's it, Lily confirmed. And they won't stay there long. Just long enough to get more hidden money and then flee very far away. Detective Morrison quickly coordinated operations to intercept both Marlene and the fake Sergeant Thorne before they could meet. But an even more shocking revelation was yet to come. "Detective," Carmen said hesitantly, "there's something about Sergeant Thorne I need to tell you." "What?" He wasn't just a corrupt cop. He was Marcus Thorne's brother. The revelation struck everyone like a lightning bolt. Marcus's own brother had infiltrated the investigation, gathering information and sabotaging police operations. "That's why Marcus was always one step ahead of us," Detective Morrison murmured. "His brother knew all of our movements, and that's why," Damien added, "he knew exactly when and how to kidnap Victoria. He had insider information about our location and routines." Lily approached Damien holding his hand. "Uncle Damien, now I can see everything clearly. The fake man never really wanted to hurt the young ladies." "What do you mean?" "He just wanted to scare you into stopping the investigation. But when he realized you weren't going to stop, he got desperate. And now he's so scared he might do very bad things to get away." The urgency of the situation intensified. If the fake cop was desperate, he could make extreme decisions that would risk not only his own life, but also Marlene's and anyone he encountered. 2 hours later, the news came in quick succession. First, Marlene was arrested at a lodge in Lake Havasu City, trying to check in under a false name. In her luggage, dozens of documents were found that proved a corruption scheme far larger than they had imagined, involving not only local businessmen, but also state politicians. Half an hour later, the fake Sergeant Thorne was intercepted at a police roadblock on the highway. Initially, he tried to maintain the farce of being an officer on duty, but when confronted with the evidence, he confessed his true identity: Carlos Thorne, Marcus's younger brother. Back at the apartment, the atmosphere was one of relief mixed with exhaustion. The investigation had uncovered a much more extensive network of corruption than anyone had imagined, but finally, all those responsible were being brought to justice. "It's over," said Lily, sitting on the sofa next to her new adoptive sisters. "The bad voices have gone quiet." "All of them?" Victoria asked. "All of them. Now I only hear the voices of happy and relieved people." Isabel hugged Lily. "You saved our family. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to. Families take care of each other." Eleanor, watching the scene, felt her eyes well up with tears. "My little granddaughter has finally found where she belongs." Dr. Miles, who had followed the whole saga from the beginning, made an observation that deeply touched everyone. "In my entire medical career, I've never seen a recovery as extraordinary as the twins. And now I understand that it wasn't just medicine that healed them. It was love, and a little bit of magic," Lily added with a smile. 3 months later, life had found a new, happy rhythm. Damien had officially adopted Lily, and Eleanor had officially become the grandmother of the whole family. Archer Construction had been rebuilt with completely transparent practices and, ironically, was thriving more than ever. The twins had returned to their studies, but now with a maturity and unity that impressed their teachers. They often told their classmates about their special little sister, who knew things others didn't. Carmen had received a reduced sentence in exchange for her cooperation and was working as an assistant at a medical clinic, dedicating her life to helping others. She visited Damien's family regularly, now considered part of their close circle. On a sunny Sunday afternoon, as everyone was having lunch together on the balcony of the apartment that had become too small for the expanded family, Lily made an announcement that surprised everyone. "Grandma, the voices told me something new." "What was it, my little one?" "They said we're going to need a bigger house." "Why are we going to need a bigger house?" Damien asked, laughing. Because our family is going to grow even more. How is it going to grow? Lily looked at Dr. Miles, who had become a frequent visitor. Because the doctor is going to marry a very beautiful nurse, and they'll want to live near us. Dr. Miles almost choked on his juice. Lily, how did you... I haven't even told anyone yet about Nurse Sonia, she completed with a mischievous smile. The voices told me you like each other very much. Eleanor laughed heartily. It looks like we're going to have another wedding in the family. And that's exactly what happened. 6 months later, Dr. Miles and Nurse Sonia were married in a simple ceremony, with Lily as the official flower girl. They moved into a house on the same street as Damien, who had bought a larger residence to accommodate his growing family. At the end of an extraordinary year that had begun with so much suffering, Damien found himself surrounded by a family he had never planned, but which had turned out to be more loving and united than anything he could have imagined. On the night of the first anniversary of the twins' recovery, while everyone was asleep, Lily approached Damien on the balcony. Uncle Damien, can I tell you a secret? Of course, Lily. I always knew I was going to find you. Even before Grandma disappeared, I dreamed of 2 sleeping young ladies and a sad man who needed to learn how to be happy again. And now, what do the voices say about our future? Lily smiled, looking at the bright stars in the Arizona sky. They say our family will be happy forever, and that I'm going to teach other special children to use their gifts to help people who need it. That would be wonderful. And they say one more thing. What? That the young ladies, Mom and Dad, are happy in heaven because they know their daughters are being truly loved. That night, for the first time since the accident that had changed everything, Damien slept in complete peace, knowing that he had found not only a new family, but also a new purpose, to protect and love the special people that destiny had placed in his path. The girl who had been found sleeping on a hospital sidewalk had become the heart of a family that proved that true love can heal even the deepest wounds. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. I promise to bring you videos every day that will make your life happier. Comment what you thought of my story with a rating from 0 to 10, and thank you very much.